Like I would have to pronounce things right for the kid. I would just always blow it because I'm overthinking it.
That reminds me, my one of my best friends is a history teacher, and he asked me. My friend Jeff and I were talking to him about September 11th because they're going to teach that in his history class this week, which we're both like, that's
it's
nuts.
been that much time. Yeah.
But he said he wanted us to both email him what we told him about being there and where we were. He's like, it'll be great stuff for the kids.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's 17 years, right? It isn't like that's crazy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was like, that can't be right.
You literally will be teaching it to some high school.
He's like, the sophomores were not alive.
That is weird to me.
Yeah.
That is like to have a cohort or a group of people that aren't like kids. I mean, technically they're kids, but they're old enough to have like independent thought and all that, but not to be alive when something like
there's actually history to them. Yeah.
Now I know how my social studies teacher in junior high, he was of the I was a Marine in World War II generation. And so
really,
when he talked about World War II, it came from a very personal space. But like I was born in the mid '70s, so I was like, it's anything before you were born is always encapsulated as ancient history.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Ancient Chinese ways.
Secret, huh? He just used Calgon. He used a water softener.
A water softener.
And a lot of elbow grease. You can buy it by the bushel. Elbow grease.
I didn't know that.
Like I said, we're going to get a tiny bit of a late start. We're waiting for Sarah to come back.
I'm going to go ahead and, since I saw the link, I'm going to go ahead and tweet that.
Oh, yeah, please do. Please do.
Daily Tech. Wait. Yeah, there it is. Okay. I'm live with Daily Technician.
Hello.
Oh.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I don't think you're on your Heil.
No, I do not know what is happening. Hold on.
That didn't work. Whatever it was.
I have plenty of time today, so we're good.
Well, yeah, and Roger, I will have to jet out at 2:30, but we'll wrap up at 15 after, no matter what.
Okay.
If we have to wait too much longer, we're just going to get started. Give her one more reboot. Because the other thing is, if she's like me, she's going to be angry at her technology. I get so upset when stuff like that goes wrong. Just
especially when it was working before.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm so conservative about the setup. I don't add anything to it. I don't change anything. Because once it's working, I don't want to have to be constantly troubleshooting what went wrong.
Oh, this is interesting. Apple's gonna have they're gonna stream it on Twitter as well. You'll be able to watch the live event on the 12th.
Oh, that's new.
Yeah,
that just broke.
No, they tweeted that at 7:26. A friend just retweeted it.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's a new. You can probably mention that tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow we'll be doing the show after the announcement. So,
wait, what's today?
Today's
the 11th.
10th.
Wait, so the thing is on the 12th.
You're right.
Okay, I was like, am I my alpha day? Yeah.
We have it on the calendar, on our internal calendar, on the wrong day.
Let me make sure I didn't do that too, because
Wednesday. Yeah. Oops. So that'll be with Scott Johnson.
Oh, that'll be a good show.
Close these tabs.
And then on the 19th, I'll have the privilege of forking over more of my money for things that I probably don't need. I can't wait. Especially if there's a new iPad. I'm really trying not to get a new one.
Yeah, I don't know. I see iPads don't normally come at the same time as iPhones. So
true. I think they did it. Did they do it 1 year? Or am I? No.
maybe.
Yeah, they usually give you like another month to like, so your bills aren't like crazy. How considerate, Apple.
Yeah, they usually do like an October announcement.
You're right.
For the iPads.
Yeah, so the phone, I get spin and get whatever the latest one is. It's what we do.
All righty. So yeah, she's got something going on that is not an easy troubleshoot. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. I'll read Sarah's stuff until she pops in. She'll join us when she can.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Yep. Let's go.
All right. Here we go in 3, 2. This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, September 10th, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
Also in Los Angeles, I'm Lamarr Wilson.
And
I'm Roger Chang, the producer of the show.
excellent. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Sarah Lane having some technical difficulties. Hopefully she'll be jumping in shortly, and you'll hear her later in the show. But let's start with a few tech things you should know. Analyst Ming-Chi Kuo says his sources indicate the next version of the iPad Pro will switch to USB-C. Now, lots of folks have speculated Apple would switch the cable in its iOS devices, so it would go Lightning to USB-C instead of Lightning to USB-A, which it does now. But Kuo specifies the entire I/O will change.
That'd be big.
Yeah, that would be big. OnePlus confirmed that its OnePlus 6T phone will have an under-display fingerprint reader, significant because currently only phones from Vivo and one special Mate RS model from Huawei use an in-display fingerprint reader. OnePlus is expected to launch the phone in October.
After a report on the Malwarebytes forum, researchers have confirmed that 2 apps from Trend Micro, Dr. Unarchiver, I did it, and Dr. Cleaner uploaded browser history from Safari, Chrome, and Firefox. This is similar to what Adware Doctor was found doing. The apps have been removed from the Mac App Store.
Ah, yes. So the fate continues, and now with Trend Micro, I mean, they're not a fly-by-night company, so
they've been around for years.
Yeah. This is a little concerning that this is happening. All right, let's talk a little bit more about smartwatches and processors.
My favorite. Qualcomm unveiled its new smartwatch chipset, first teased at I/O, called the Snapdragon Wear 3100. All 3 models have revamped architecture that integrates with Google's Wear OS. The new chipset is better and able to handle background tasks and is more powerful than the Wear 2100 line and 4 A7 CPUs, a DSP, and an ultra-low power coprocessor. Now, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I like that we're finally seeing a watch-specific processor made. In the past, the Qualcomm processors were pretty much adapted mobile processors, and now they're doing things with these multiple cores. The reason they have 4 A7 CPUs is some of them are ultra low power because they're finding that people don't use their watches constantly like they do their phones. Most of the time they just need to show the time and maybe some notifications, and the amount of times you need to actually interact with it is probably not enough to warrant 4 equally powerful cores.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. It said we use our watches 5% of the time, which I was thinking about. I was like, that's probably true. I mean, I have it doing things for me like heart rate tracking and things, but yeah, I'm probably not looking at it that often. One of the cool features of this is just a regular watch mode that it'll be able to switch to. So like if you let's say you're down by what is it, 20 minutes or 2 hours of time, you're 20% remaining. You can switch it to that watch only mode and you'll get another 2 weeks, a week or two out of the device. And if it's like you want to do it completely from 100%, then they say like 30 days. Yeah. Like 30 days of power. That's amazing.
And not that you do either one, but it's nice to know that when you get down to 20%, you can say, yeah, just go to watch mode so I don't lose functionality. It doesn't just turn into a blank black box on my wrist.
Which happens all the time with this beautiful thing.
Oh, does it? Yeah.
Yeah. If I forget to
my
charge
battery
it,
life's good enough to get me through a day, but if I forget to charge it, then I'm out of luck. The other thing they have in here is a sport mode where it will just use the cores to power GPS and tracking and not make all the other stuff available from the watch. Again, so if you forget to charge, you might still have enough battery left to get you through a workout without having to lose all your data from that tracking.
well, I don't have to worry about the workout part. So yeah.
No, because you're just naturally fit.
There you go.
Yeah. Blair Levin and Larry Downs write in the Harvard Business Review that even though Google Fiber has paused rollouts and is often seen as a failure, it succeeded in pioneering new ways of working with local authorities to get networks built. Local authorities became more willing to negotiate prices, permitting, and fees. It also encouraged competition, accelerating fiber deployments by as much as 2 years by some estimates, and it caused investors to become more supportive of capital expenditures. Remember, Verizon stopped rolling out fiber because of investor pressure. Levin and Down write, authorities are finding, as with Google Fiber, that they must offer competitive rates or risk delaying private investment in new networks, a critical source of local development and competitiveness. And we're seeing the effects of this change of attitude in 5G rollouts.
Yeah, I've always had trouble with this whole concept we have of failure. Like, because they paused something, it's seen as a failure. What Google did was push the competitors to get their act together. And obviously it wasn't completely altruistic. The faster the internet is, the more people will access Google and their services. I mean, we know the end result. But because of that, Comcast got on there, but AT&T, Time Warner, now Spectrum, they all got themselves together and rolled out way ahead of the deadline. By 2016, they were rolling out, I think the deadline was 2020, and they exceeded that by 4 years. So Google, if anything, just pushed these networks, and they made the whole regulation and process easier, so you don't have to go through all this paperwork. You deal with one central person. The permits are easier. So I think they set a standard. I think there's nothing to be said of them being a failure because of this. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, and I like what Levin and Downs were saying, that whether it was intentional or not, and they suspect it might have been intentional. Google's main idea in getting into Google Fiber was to get more people hooked up to fast internet so they could use more Google services, whether it's YouTube or Nest thermostats or whatever. And that has worked. There are more fast connections out there, even if they're not being run by Google. I like you, Lamarr. I think it was an intentional pause. It fits in with the strategy of saying, hey, we're starting to see a lot more competition roll out. Maybe we don't need to be plowing ahead as much. But also, I wouldn't be surprised to see Google get into 5G deployments and get into wireless deployments if they feel like it's moving too sluggishly.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
it's a great piece. If you want to go check it out at hbr.org, that's Harvard Business Review. We'll have a link in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Alibaba's 54-year-old co-founder Jack Ma will step down as chairman next year on September 10th to focus on philanthropy and education. Alibaba's CEO, Daniel Zhang, the man who brought China Singles Day, is taking over as chairman, and he'll stay CEO as well. Singles Day, if you haven't been following DTNS or you don't realize, is the biggest shopping day in the world. And Daniel Zhang was running Tmall, which Alibaba owns, and had taken it from being a web destination to a mobile destination, and it blew up. And Singles Day was taking this day, November 11th, 1111, and marketing it at first towards people who are single to try to, stoke some love interest by giving gifts. Now it's well beyond that premise and is just this gargantuan shopping day. I mean, Amazon Day, forget it. It's nothing compared to Singles Day. Singles Day is a bigger shopping day than any holiday in any country anywhere. It's crazy.
I didn't know that. And I'm glad that there's a day for me and for the rest of my life.
I'm wondering where your gifts were from last November.
I demand to know. Now, I read this article about this guy. He's pretty fascinating. First of all, the fact that he's stepping back at such a young age, and 54 for a CEO to step back is young. But he recognized that the management needs to be younger to make their company progress faster. So I don't know. To me, that feels like that takes a little bit of humility. I don't know the guy personally. I don't know, if he's a scoundrel or whatever. But the fact that he has chosen to step back and kind of work on some other efforts, just like Bill Gates did back in the day, is commendable. And isn't he like he's been in pop bands and like this guy he dances in pop bands. He's been in some movies with
he's kind of the combination of Bill Gates and Paul Allen. Paul Allen was in the bands and everything else is Bill Gates, I guess. But he's a visionary. I mean, he decided in the 90s that he was going to take on Silicon Valley at a time when people were like, China taking on Silicon Valley,
right?
You got to be crazy, and crazy like a fox, apparently. Because it has absolutely worked out. No, another article that's absolutely worth checking out, and a big deal. Like if you don't realize, Alibaba is one of the largest companies in the world, certainly one of the largest, if not the largest, in China. And Jack Ma is generally credited with being the Bill Gates of China, with being the guy who made that happen. And so him stepping down is absolutely as big of a deal as Bill Gates leaving Microsoft. Yeah,
I thought it was fascinating, and I've learned a lot about Alibaba. I've heard the name, of course, we've talked about it in the show before, but I've never really sat down and figured out what they do and who they are. And it's like, wow, it's not just about Amazon and Microsoft. There's a bigger world outside of the U.S.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Speaking of which, here in India. So Indian startup Nicell Retail has launched its first cashier-free store, What a Sale, in Kochi, India. Customers can scan their What a Sale app on the way in, and a combination of sensors, computer vision, and AI keep track of what they have when they walk out and automatically charges them. If the pilot goes well, What a Sale plans to expand to Bangalore and Delhi. So what a sale, what a app, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, it's interesting in a couple ways. First of all, I think a lot of people thought, well, only Amazon has the secret sauce to make this work. And we talked about other companies that were doing this at the time. So we've known that there were other folks trying this. But this one, I think the thing that intrigues me is not just that they've got one up and running. It's not just planned.
Right.
And they've got plans for expansion, which is normal, but they want to do franchising. And that's a thing that I don't see Amazon getting into. That's where a startup can be a lot more nimble. Amazon wants to control everything, right? Because the whole point is to get people to continue to buy money on Amazon.com. Whereas What a Sale can say, no, we can set you up like a McDonald's would set somebody up with a restaurant. Here's all the pieces, go and run it. And they potentially can expand a lot faster in this particular industry. Yeah,
and I was reading they wanted to put these in apartment buildings, which just like maybe a micro store. Buildings and even like going directly to farmers, which I thought was fascinating. Just bypassing the big stores and their stores themselves, and having the farmers sell their goods directly,
like a farmer's market.
Absolutely, yeah. And so to me, I think they're doing what Amazon's doing. Sure, Amazon was first, but they have 1 billion people in India. They're trying to find a way to manage efficiency, and it seems like they're kind of ahead of Amazon right now.
Yeah, and I don't even know if Amazon was the first with this kind of store. I mean, there were companies in China doing it as well. Oh. They were a tiny bit different. There's been companies in Japan that do it a little bit different. Amazon may be the first that really said there's no need to talk to a person at all. But the fact that we're already seeing other companies execute this, and we'll see how well it works out. They're just starting. Maybe it won't work as well as it should. I know it took Amazon a lot longer than they thought to launch, but yeah, I am very curious to see if this now where it goes from how are they possibly going to pull that off to, oh yeah, we see these all over the world now.
Yeah, absolutely.
An opinion piece from sociologist Christopher A. Bale in Sunday's New York Times discusses research into political polarization on Twitter. And I had to include this in the show because that is my big axe to grind is, sure, stuff is happening on Twitter. It's happening on Facebook. What effect does it have? Well, Bale actually studied the issue by forcing 1,200 Republicans and Democrats to see and interact with opposing views on Twitter. He created some bots that tweeted legitimate stories to people challenging their viewpoints. And he found that doing so made people more entrenched in their existing views rather than changing their minds. This is why you need to study it, because a common sense approach may be to say, well, you know what we need to do? We need to make sure that everybody sees more diverse points of view so they don't get locked in. But
Sure.
What he found is when you force that, you actually push people farther into their viewpoints. You don't change their minds. So Bale suggests that alerts that make people aware that they might only be getting one point of view, might be better than forcing those point of views at them. Let them go out and choose to diversify. Then they might actually be willing to open their mind and change their minds, or perhaps exposing people to particular issues rather than particular sources. So instead of saying, hey, conservative, I'm going to put the New York Times in your feed whether you like it or not, or I'm going to put the Daily Caller in your feed whether you like it or not, liberal, you just expose people to issues that they might not be exposed. Like, let's put some more climate change stuff. Let's put some more tax cut stuff. And that would be better than broadly forcing exposure to alternative viewpoints.
Yeah, and I think this stems from Jack Dorsey being on the Hill last week, and he literally said that this is one of the things they want to do, and so this guy was had to make this opinion piece, and they've been researching this long before he got on the Hill. It's like, yeah, you can do that, but here are the consequences of it. I use Google News, the new app, and I do like they give me the main headline, and there's 2 or 3 other opinions there or other articles that I may not look at, and but they're secondary, and I like that approach. Some people may see that as polarizing. If you don't like Fox News, you don't want to see Fox News in your feed at all. So there's still some work to be done with that for sure.
Yeah, and I can't emphasize enough how much I want studies to be done to find out what the effects of the stuff is first before prescribing a solution. Because of stuff like this. I'm not saying there isn't a problem. It's that you need to know what the nature of the problem is and what effects trying to change it has before maybe you end up making the problem worse, even though you thought you were making it better. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. All right, whatever you believe about crypto coins, it's a solid fact that they're not stable. According to data from blockchain, I know, right? Shocker. Blockchain research unit DIAR, DIAR, says that most coins suffer from arbitrary supply inflation or massive degradation in purchasing power. Even the most stable currency, which is Bitcoin, has year-to-date inflation of 50%, meaning it's not a great store of value. For hedging against inflation, some folks turn to coins like Nano or IOTA or Cardano, which have a predetermined generation algorithm preventing an increase in supply. But there's a couple of new efforts that just got approval in the state of New York. Gemini Trust and Paxo Trust are what are called stable coins. The idea is that you link the currency to an actual fiat currency. In this case, they're both linked to the US dollar. The Gemini dollar, developed by Cameron and Tyler Winklesvoss, yes, those Winklevi, is pegged at $1 per coin and trades on the Ethereum blockchain. So one Gemini dollar is $1 US. Gemini will also hold dollars in a federally insured bank. So you can sort of by transitive consider your dollars FDIC insured. And the Paxos coins will also be pegged to the dollar on a 1-to-1 basis. They have a little bit different way of storing them, though. And the Insider reports Citigroup is planning to introduce something called digital asset receipts. Now, this is a wonky financial thing. I'm not going to try to even explain it because I don't understand it. But it allows investors to buy and trade cryptocurrencies on regulated markets. That's the part I do understand. It says, look, you want to trade cryptocurrency, but you don't want to be in an unregulated Wild West. Do it with a digital asset receipt in a traditional marketplace that is regulated by the U.S. government. You won't own the cryptocurrencies directly. They'll be held by an organization that does, and you're getting a receipt that has value related to them. Granted, I'm sure a bunch of you have a question like, really? How's that supposed to work? The practice is exactly similar to an American depository receipt, which has been around since the 1920s and is used to trade non-U.S. stocks in the U.S. So just for the moment, accept like, okay, they do this already with stocks, so they'd be doing it with cryptocurrency. All three of these stories, I think, are indications that cryptocurrency may not be stable and people may not be sure exactly how to work with it, but so many people want to that solutions are being tried here. Yeah,
I'm glad you were here to explain all all this. So I just have more of a philosophical view of this. Because I've tried to understand cryptocurrency. There's so many different ones out there. I think the instability with cryptocurrency is understandably like why investors, big or small, even if you or I got in it, why they play the short game, because they get in and get out and that just adds to the instability. So if you're really passionate and you're really serious about deregulation, government not having control of the money. I think there's a measure of patience and long game and education. Really, I think education on what all of these are. I mean, in this story alone, these 3 stories, you mentioned at least 5 or 6 different currencies out there, and it's confusing. You try to understand it, and the serious person, if you're really serious about this government thing and controlling the money, you have to understand that money is power and government. So like this is serious stuff. This is World War type of things we're talking about here. We're serious about it. So it's important for everybody to really understand and educate, myself included. I'm not very educated in it, and I feel the need because it's so serious and because it's not going anywhere.
That's the thing, right? It does not. Everybody thought, well, this is a passing fad, right? This is going to be like .coms. It's going to blow up and then fade away, and maybe something will come out of it. But it does not seem to be that way. It was funny, at my 30th high school class reunion this weekend, I was talking to one of my classmates, Angie's husband, who is a cryptocurrency miner in Southern Illinois. Like, he has got a warehouse. He is serious about this. He walked me through it. He's got a warehouse with, I don't know how many machines, 30, 50, something like that, that he's got cameras on that he can monitor. And he went online while he was just showing me it. And he's like, oh, 3 of these boxes are offline. Like, hold on, let me find out what's going on and reboot them. And he, and of course his wife also were asking, like, is this really going to pay off? And he's like, well, what do you think? I'm like, nobody knows. Right now, it's not a bad bet, because if it pays off big, right? It's like panning for gold. You may have a claim that busts out, or you may end up retiring rich. These are the kinds of stories I look at that say, well, yeah, not any particular cryptocurrency may be the one. You could end up being involved in the wrong ones, but it does look like something is going to come out of cryptocurrency, not just blockchain. I've been saying blockchain is going to last for a long time, but cryptocurrency starts to look like one of these may end up working out. Bitcoin being very stable, relatively speaking, is a good sign for it. And everybody doing things on Ethereum, like the Winklevoss doing the dollar-to-dollar pegged currency, is a positive sign as well.
Yeah. What do you see in terms of? I mean, we're just projecting at this point. Like, not necessarily who's the winner, but like, are we talking? When I mention patience, are we talking 3 to 5 years? Are we talking 10 before this settles down?
At least 5 would be my guess before it shakes out. Stranger things have happened, but I would say 5 to 10 is my gut feeling. Just a gut feeling, not based on any kind of rigorous analysis or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But I find it an important milestone that we're seeing state-approved dollar-linked crypto. Because even though that gets rid of a lot of the advantages of crypto, which is, like, hey, this is a free coin that can be traded, carry its own value, it will allow people to get into some of the other advantages that are online and public ledger, and trade without worrying about the fluctuations, without worrying about that instability.
And if I'm not mistaken, the one that Citigroup was doing, wasn't that going to be FDIC insured as well?
No, that's the Winklevoss ones.
That's okay.
Because the dollars are held by a bank. Even though you traded your dollar for a Winklevoss, what is the coin called? Gemini. The dollars are held by a bank, so those dollars are FDIC insured.
Okay.
And basically what Gemini is saying is, we guarantee that for every Gemini you hold, we'll have a dollar for you over here, and that's insured.
I would buy them if they were called the Winklevoss coins. I'm just being honest.
Like, didn't they have Winkle coins or something? I know they have the Winkle decks, which I look at every once in a while. All right. Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com and facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. The summer break is over. We're very excited that Nate Langston and Text Message is back. Let's find out what's in store.
Hey.
Roger. We can't hear what's in store.
Let's see.
Which store? What a sale.
Thanks, guys. We took a bit of a summer hiatus, but we're back in the podcasting saddle. And this week, we think it's worth you guys knowing that in Europe, later this year, boxed retail copies of video games will carry a printed warning that they contain in-app purchases right next to the icons that currently warn about violent, sexual, racist, or drug-related content. We talk about why, and what effect this might have on the industry over here, as well as the rest of the week's British technology news that should hopefully give our American friends a little extra context about the week's events in the tech world. That's available now at techpodcast.uk.
So good to hear Nate's voice again. So
awesome.
Weird to be thinking about labels on boxed copies of video games. And then, does people buy boxed copies still? I guess they do.
Yeah,
they sure
I mean that's my world. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna listen to that.
You don't download. You buy boxed copies?
No, I'm just saying the gaming world is my world. Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh God, no, I.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, I guess there are people still buying boxes. All right, well, fine. Well, I'm very happy to say that it is now time to check out the mailbag, and let's see what Kevin had to say. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Kevin Toppenberg, who's a family physician, MD, has thoughts on our Humanity app discussion of allowing consumers to have legal control over their medical information. That was from Friday's show. Among his many good insights, he said, HIPAA laws prevent healthcare providers from releasing information in many situations, with fines ranging from $100 per violation per patient for first-time offenses up to $50,000 per violation per patient for willful neglect that is not connected in an appropriate time. Nevertheless, in 2017, there were 1,579 data breaches exposing 179 million patient records. So while HIPAA has had a chilling effect for providers wanting to jump into data sharing in the medical field, I would argue there is still work to be done. Now, regarding ownership of patient data, I would point out that data is not a thing where only one person can possess it. This is a really good point. He says, yes, it is true that patients have a right to access a copy of all their medical data, but they don't own it in the sense that they have full control of it. For example, if a patient disclosed use of illegal drugs to a doctor and it was put in the record, they cannot come back later and demand to have that deleted. Which made me think, what if we have a right to be forgotten dispute on our hands in the future over medical data? Back to Kevin. He said, thus, both the doctor and the patient both have ownership. I own my patient's records in the sense that I have the right and responsibility of maintaining them. They are my defense against any claims of malpractice, but my patients also own them in that they can obtain a copy of them at any time. These are great points. And it doesn't mean that you can't own your medical data. And it doesn't mean that efforts like Humanity aren't worth pursuing to give you more control over your data, right, and legal emphasis of it. But it is like anything else in that it is infinitely copyable. So nefarious people can, once they have a copy of your data, never give it up. And there's these other issues, which I didn't even think about, that Kevin brought up, where the doctor has a right to your data because it is in the doctor's best interest that she have that to protect herself or protect you.
Yeah, I'm fine with the concept of having the copies. I think I just want access, and you know, 10, 20 years ago, you just didn't have as easy access. You had to ask for a fax, and
yeah, right.
And now, you know, I happen to be with a hospital group that has connects online to the Apple Health, which makes it easy for me just to see all the data there. I think that's all people are asking for. I think most people understand that it's a copy, but we just want the copy so we can have control of it.
Well, Lamarr Wilson, a pleasure as always having you on today, my friend. Let folks know where they can find out more about what you've got going on.
Well, on my YouTube, I'm more in, like as I mentioned earlier, in the gaming realm. But you, if you like all things gaming, Nintendo, Xbox, Microsoft, giving away. I said Xbox and Microsoft. Okay, Sony. Speaking of which, I'm actually giving away a Sony PS4, the Spider-Man edition. So that's happening through tomorrow. So if you're interested in any kind of video game stuff, check me out on YouTube, youtube.com/Lamarr Wilson. You want to know more about me as a person? Check out my Instagram at Lamarr Wilson.
You know, I thought of you because you have in the past done a lot of unboxing of snacks. I know. Yes. One of my friends works for Mars, and at my high school reunion, he gave me a bag of future flavors of candy. He swore me to secrecy.
I'll be over it for it.
Yeah, I mean, if you just came over and happened to see him lying on my counter, what am I going to do, right?
Yes, I cannot wait.
Check it out, folks. YouTube.com/Lamarr Wilson. There's 2 R's in Lamarr, and Twitter.com/Lamarr Wilson as well. Thanks to everybody who supports this show. Daily Tech News Show is independent. We have ads on our public feed, but we don't know what they are. They are handled by a third party named Acast, and we let them do it as a third party intermediary. More than 90% of our revenue comes directly from you, the folks who support us at patreon.com/DTNS or directly by PayPal or by buying things in the store at dailytechnewsshow.com/store. So please, you get some benefits of becoming a member, including commercial-free feeds, special content, longer versions of the show if you want. Check it all out at patreon.com/DTNS. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 20:30 UTC, and you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We'll be back tomorrow with Patrick Beja. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Join.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, just in time.
Yes.
No, I mean I've been here for a while, but like I've got a whole thing going on now.
I
I'm
know.
on like
Well,
a Windows machine and everything's
saw
like
you.
so weird.
I saw you, and I was about to toss the email to you.
I know.
And you walked
that
away,
you were,
and I was like,
I
"Oh,
know
she's
you
not
were-
ready." So
I know you were doing that, but I was so afraid because
no,
I
that's
wasn't
fine.
able to test.
So
I was glad you did that rather than me tossing to you and having it not ready. So I figured
know.
it was just safer to
Yeah.
just finish the show at that point.
Oh man, I don't know what has happened.
But the good thing is your mic is not dead. It's just
Yeah, you sound fine now.
I know what it is. I figured it out.
You did.
is it your cat?
For a while, I thought that it was the Logitech.
Uh-huh.
It's this. It's
What
my
is little
that? USB/Ethernet
Oh,
/
yeah,
USB-C
The hub.
converter
That thing
that I
went
got
bad?
at Staples. It must
Mhm.
have. This is the
That's
problem.
causing the problem. Okay.
Because I'm no longer using this and I'm on my Windows
And you're
machine.
fine.
Everything's fine. I'm so sorry, you guys.
Well, that was your problem. You had to switch to Windows.
I tried to come through, but
It always
no one
comes
can
back
come-
to Windows, doesn't it?
No,
No-
thank
no
goodness
one
you were
can
here,
compare.
Lamar. Like that.
Yeah, Lamarr, thank you so much. I am so sorry, guys.
No.
I could hear the majority of the show. That was the funny part. Like I was actually kind of like my audio was sort of working, but every time anyway, it's not worth explaining.
Oh man, I feel so bad.
Oh, please don't. Please don't. I trust that you all had a lovely conversation.
Well, it wasn't
You
as
were
lovely as
missed.
it would have been
Yeah.
had you been involved.
Yeah,
but
you were
yes,
completely
It was
missed.
very good.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I'm here now.
Especially because I know you had a lot to say about crypto. Like for the post show. Like, do you have any
like
points
I
that
actually
you want to throw out?
Well, again, sort of having missed the fun discussion of it all, I find it fascinating that, the sort of crypto like pro warehouse thing exists, and how does it exist, and how do you compete with, server farms, overseas that are, cranking out a lot. The whole idea is that you or I, there's no reason for us to mine crypto anymore. It can't be done.
Well,
It's
and that
not a
was
good
what-
use of our money and time, right? But
Yeah.
but if you can figure that out and keep costs down and figure out how to process a lot of things in a short amount of time, then maybe it still is advantageous. I want to know who those people are.
And that's what I was talking to my former classmate's husband about. Is he's living that question right now. Like he's sunk so much. He's like, I don't want to get stuck in the sunk cost fallacy, but he's like, I can't decide if I just need to keep pushing over the hill and then it will all pay off, or if I'm throwing good money after bad.
So he's like, this is an investment.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh. Well, okay.
Wow.
What do you think, Sammy?
Meow.
He says crypto is not for me.
I like Gemini, the same side of two coins.
Okay. I liked Wadasail, Whatnap, but Gemini, the same side of the two coins, also works.
Right.
Wadasail.
Yeah, if you want to give any shouts out to any of the other, there's some other good
Google
ones in
Fiber, too fast to fail. Cashiers being cashed out.
there. No, but you're going to still need security people to just kind of watch. Cashiers.
Alibaba's Jack Ma says Ali bye bye.
I have a cashier story from this weekend.
Oh,
You do.
Oh, you spent cash?
So I did this 4K run with my sister. And the day before, I met her for lunch, and she introduced me. She's like, "Oh, this is my friend Vicky. She's going to be going on the 5K run with us." Did I say 4K? 4K.
yeah. I was gonna say
I
the
did a
story.
run in 4K resolution.
I was like
Your
2
case took one
point.
down.
I don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah.
5K run.
Okay.
Much,
Yeah.
much better looking than 4K.
That's a proud run. Proud run.
Yeah. And so I was like, "Oh, Vicky, nice to meet you." And then as we were going to lunch, my sister's like, do you recognize Vicky? I was like, kind of, maybe. I don't know. She's like, she used to work at Super Value. I'm like, "Oh, the lady with the baseball cards." Like when I was growing up, my mom would buy me baseball cards at the Super Value grocery store. And Vicky was the person who would cash us out. So I always had positive associations with her as like, she's the lady that sells the baseball cards to us so I can get them. And then we go on this 5K run. And we're sitting afterwards talking. She's retiring. And I'm like, "Well, are you retiring early?" She's like, "No, I'm 65. I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
Like, how is that possible? I mean, first of all, she doesn't look that 65, but also she like set the pace for the 5K run that I was,
Right. Yeah.
That
She's
was-
like, Tom,
That was
you know,
impressive. Yeah.
senior
I saw that
citizens
red
have
meat.
different rights.
I could do a 5K drive.
I can run a 5K. That would be something I could do.
Yeah.
A half.
How long would it take though?
I don't know.
You
How
can
long?
walk it too.
I mean,
You don't
I
have to walk.
run a 10-minute mile. I mean, I'm not a bad
okay.
runner. I just don't have a ton of endurance. Like I
Sarah
would.
runs a 4-minute mile. Come on.
Right.
Really?
I would say a half marathon would be pushing it. And a full marathon is something that I've never ever thought was possible in my human body.
Yeah. I mean, it probably is possible.
It probably is, but I'm not. It's
Yeah.
just it's so far beyond what my comfort zone is of running. I just
Gotcha.
26 miles at once. That's
funny when we
I got
started.
shows to watch.
When we started the 5K, we saw the mile 13 because it's for the end of the half marathon people, and we're like, "Oh wow, we got 13 miles."
Yeah, 13 miles would be
That's a lot.
great achievement for me. That would be a lot. Yes. What do you think, Sammy?
I'll walk 13 miles before I run it.
But if you walk, it takes so much longer.
Yeah, but you know what? You
walk
take
13
in the
miles.
scenery and you kind of think about life and your place in it.
I mean, are you about to say back in my day I walked 13 miles to school? Is that
No. Back in my
Okay.
day,
Main
I walked,
streets of Modesto.
no. I lived in San Francisco and I was like, when I went to junior high, but I walked 2 miles to school up a hill, a physical hill. But it was easier coming home because it was
not a virtual one, a physical.
an actual hill,
living.
not a
In,
hill.
in San Francisco, the hills are all very
They're all
real.
very hill. My school was
Yeah,
at the
they are.
top of a hill. So I had to go up 19th and then Terraville and then up.
What school did you go to?
It had to end in the hill, didn't
I
it?
went to Herbert Hoover Junior High.
Oh,
Herbert
yeah.
Junior Hill. It needs to be hill if it's at the top of a hill. That's
Well,
how
they
the school
don't tell
was.
you that, so kids attend.
Wasn't that school sort of like at the top of a
Hill.
well, yeah, yes. It
Yeah,
was.
hill
No, but like it was like not a reservoir, but
reservation.
It was next to a reservoir.
yeah. I know what's
Like if you're not in San Francisco, if you're not familiar with San Francisco, the city actually has a bunch of reservoirs in the city. itself, to maintain water pressure, but also because of earthquakes. And San Francisco is naturally a very dry place because there's no natural water other than the salt water that surrounds it.
It's rocky.
It's not fit for human habitation.
Which is why they built there.
Right.
Is the school still called Herbert Hoover Elementary? Really?
No, junior high.
Oh,
I went to
junior
a
high.
Catholic school for first. to fifth.
Okay.
Herbert Hoover and San Francisco
Right.
seem
That's why.
diametrically
that's why-
opposed.
Yeah, but that
Yeah,
school was
that's what I was-
established.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a
Like I
telling
remember going to the school. There's like the first floor. There's a little picture kind of photo thing explaining who Herbert Hoover was and his his legacy. Which, depending on who you ask, could either be Hoovervilles or
Yeah.
just a mediocre Republican president.
I would think that the current administration must not be as interested in whitewashing his legacy as perhaps the founders had been.
Wait, you mean the founders of the junior
Of
high?
the school, yeah.
I was like, the founders of the country. I think they came a lot, 2 years before.
A couple years before.
We would have known him. But
No,
yeah,
there
he
are
was
more founders than just the founders of the United States of America.
yes.
Hey, Raj, how's little Jessie doing?
She's good. She's still
She's
wrinkly.
alive.
Hopefully, she'll fill in like butterfly wings do when they.
I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will.
You're so literal when it comes to the it's alive, it's wrinkly, it's breathing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for asking, Sarah. She's alive.
She hasn't got a job yet.
Right. She
She
is
still has
not.
to take the SAT and hopefully at some point the LSAT or maybe the GMAT.
Oh.
Business or graduate school. But
Have
no,
you given her a success perm?
here's your fast track. It'll be like a Chinese
got that
takeout
one,
menu.
Tom.
Thanks.
Pick one from column A, one from column B, and one from column C.
Tom, you got to run, right?
No. I'm good, but we should
Okay.
end the post show, which is a little bit abbreviated, but we had a longer pre-show. So thanks everybody for watching the video. Y'all are great, and audio folks, stick around. There's more to come.